In the next 10 minutes, I will show you how I personally develop software using what I call a dev suite. So a dev suite, a 9-step integration that takes me from the idea of the feature to the post-deploy, notifying people, making sure it's live, and also going through QA, things like that. So I hope you really enjoy this first new video that I'm trying to make. And as we do that, as we create these new videos, you're going to see that we also have the website that will come in with a page that I'll most likely refer to during the video so I don't forget things. What is the dev suite? The dev suite is basically a 9-step integration that takes you from the insights, which is the feeling you have towards an application, the feeling you have towards a product, just until you reach the post deploy. So writing the changelog, spamming in Discord that something has been released, writing to the the backlog, and also synchronizing the whole application after that. Before we go any further, you need to understand the context of what we're going to be working on today. So I'll do it very quickly, but I'd like to introduce you to Balance. Balance is basically a game. It's a mobile game, iOS, Android, that will convert your steps, the steps that you walk in real life, into points that you can then convert to a certain skill. So let me give you an example. In my bank step, I have 920 steps banked, and I could go use it to mine some copper ore. Spend it, you get some loot, you get some experience, you can increase your mining level, as you can see. Spamming the button, there you go, mining level 4. It's also a playing ground for me, right? So this whole application has been made using AI, and this is what I want to keep it at. I want to make sure I use the AI to create this whole thing. The simple change I want to do today is extremely simple. Do you see these icons? These icons, I think they are too small. I would like to see them at least, I want to say 2.5x bigger. And we're going to go through the dev suite, through all of that, and you'll see why I want to go through the dev suite. Because the dev suite is not just a small code change that you would expect, right? This is a really small code change, just make the icon bigger, right, basically. But the dev suite comes with a lot more than that, and I will take you with me through it. It first begins with the insight, okay? What is the insight? The insight is, I think the icons are too small. The insight could be a group of comments that you guys leave while playing the game. It could be the client telling you directly, I don't like this, I don't like this, I don't like that. So those are the insights. You group them all together, and then you propose different opportunities, which is a step number 2. With the AI, you let them know what is the insight and ask them to propose me 3 different routes we can take to fix this problem. And I'm realizing here, I'm walking through it through my voice, but we're also gonna do it here at the same time in code. So let me open up my thing real quick. We're under the Balance project, and I'm going to let him know directly, and I'm working on the dev branch, which is fine. I am looking at the skill page, and I think the icons are a little bit too small. I would like to see these icons be bigger by, say, 2.5x. Also, if you find any other places where these icons could be too small, please suggest them to me, and we can discuss whether or not they need to have their size increase as well. To do this feature, use the dev suite. And just like that, we sent our prompt, which is basically our insight. As you can see, it's picking up the dev suite skills, and with that, we should go through the whole flow. Initially, this whole dev suite here was made fully in prose, and it really helped me like nailing down what I needed. But also, as we use it more and more, you start defining really what is never going to change and also what is subject to change. So starting fully prose was good, but then I got to a point where first, it was a little bit too expensive in terms of token, and second, it would drift. So it's really important that the part that you really nail down, that you like, that you convert them eventually to scripts instead of being in prose. Which means that this step over here, every single one of these steps now is driven by a script engine and not a feeling that perhaps you are at the step number 3 and then look at where you were and perhaps now you're at step number 4. No, there is no perhaps over here. No, right now the engine, like going from step 1 to step 2, 3, 4, 5, this is in script. And then you're going to find that beneath the script, the sub-step, those are sometime in prose, sometime a mix of prose and script, and sometime script themselves. The goal eventually, like in the best case scenario, is we would just have script and no agent, no prose that would look at these things. But some of them have no choices but to have agent. I'll give you an example. When we ask 3 different opportunities, how could we fix this problem, this insight I present to you, the agent needs to be there to think and propose to use some innovative solution. So here, this will never be a script. However, it is important to know that when you can make something a script, you should, so you can avoid drifting. Now, right off the get-go, as you can see here, it skipped the step, and then I chose to grow the whole circle, which means that now we're moving on to step number 3, which is the design. The design is the famous GrillMe skill, and if you guys do not know about the GrillMe skill, you're going to find it down there in the resources. It is a skill that has been super popular recently. It's under the Matt Pocock skills. The script goes as follow. Interview me relentlessly about every aspect of this plan until we reach a shared understanding. This is a really important part because he wants you to basically be in sync with the agent helping you develop this software. But to do that, you need to walk down every branch of the design tree, resolving dependencies between decisions one by one. And for each question, you can also provide a recommended answer. So the AI tries to get on the same level as you and make sure that you understand, but it also he understands. It understands. It is still important to have a GrillMe session because it did bring up other things, and also we incremented the scope. Initially, it was just a skill page. Now it's more than just that. And because of the GrillMe, we found out that these things they do appear in other places, which makes sense because they do. But it's such a simple request that we only went through 3 different questions, and here they are. I made sure to answer them. You don't need to see me do that. That's going to take too long. But basically, I've answered the 3 questions. Usually, you can expect 10, 11, maybe even 15 if that's a big feature you're trying to make. But in our case, it is completed, which means we're now moving on to the step number 4, which is the PRD. What is a PRD? PRD basically takes the idea of what we want to implement and it creates a product requirement document. So what do we need in the end? What are the acceptance criteria of this feature we're trying to get? Number 5 is basically, once we have our PRD, we have our product requirement document, take it, look at it, and slice it into different issues that you can post on, for example, on Jira, on GitHub, on GitLab issues. Let's have a look. It looks a little bit like this. There's a parent, what to build, acceptance criteria for every single one of these issues. Is it blocked by anything? And here are the triage note, which is very important because the step just after that is to triage. Triage is going to let you know if you are if you can start this task right now or if it depends on another task. It also lets you know if you need to be in the loop as a human or it can be a task that is AFK. We enter step 6, and this is where I think you're going to get the most value from this video. If there's something you want to remember at the end, it's pretty much the whole development steps, because this is the one that saved me the most amount of time. And it's the first one I was using before wrapping it inside of this big dev suite loop. And I'm using something called the Superpower Sub-Agent Driven Development, which is a development methodology based on TDD, so test-driven development, and it's making tests all the time. So whenever you're writing a feature, it's writing the test that fails first, and then it fixes the test, then implement the feature. And it's super cool because it's also done within a sub-agent, and because we just made all of our issues into very, very digestible blocks, as you can see with here. I'm just gonna hide myself at this point. So yeah, because we made it really, really easy to digest, sub-agent driven development can just take in this file and a little bit of our context and then go and implement this feature. And you see, this is what he has done over here. So it went ahead and created issue number, not issue, but it implemented 46, 47, and also 48. All the issues were implemented. It made sure that the TypeScript is clean. And now it's on to the review gate. It went ahead, did a little bit of reviewing, which is also part of the Superpower skill set. And once this loop fully closed, we are advancing to step number 7. And step number 7 is emulator smoke. As you can see, as we said earlier, this one is white. White mean it's a project specific substep. Because for this substep, we're in the need of an emulator, and as you can see, this is here in emulator. Whoa, actually, it did update it already. But yeah, so the way that this substep, the emulator smoke, I like these icons. They are so ugly. Because of the substep smoke, The inside of that prose, inside of that substep, it is supposed to ask me three different things. Once we reach that gate, I can completely skip the QA, so I can say, yeah, just it's good, right? Move on to the next step. Or I can ask it to just boot the emulator, or I can ask it to boot and then take screenshots of it. Now, I don't know how deep we want to get into that. You know what? I'm just going to speed up the video. We're going to say boot and evidence because I'm just curious to see what's going to happen here. So in the substep, the emulator smoke substep, when we say boot plus evidence, it's trying to do boot. Boot itself means kill the whole stack. So it's going to kill the active emulator. It's going to boot it fresh. It's going to restart the Metro server. It is going to up the Docker Compose for the database. All of these steps are things that I used to do manually before. And at one point, you just get tired of doing all these steps manually. So what I've done is I said, hey, create a new dev suite substep at this very specific step, so step 7. And what we're going to do is I want you to listen to what I write, listen to what I do, nice arrow over here, and just take notes. I'll want you to create a step based on what I do. So we'll do it together, you'll take notes, and next time you'll be the person who's doing it, You're going to be the one that does it. So this is how I begin writing substep for dev suite. And then at one point, this became a script because the operation was always the same. So why would I let prose text decide how this works, right? It was the same operation all the time. So now this is driven by a script. And this is how I avoid drift. I avoid overloading my context as well. And pretty much everything should work, right? Hands off. Oh yeah, I forgot to say, I've also included the auto login feature because usually when you log in this application on your phone, what happened is you get an email. I did not want to do this locally because if I'd done that locally, it was using my email. I have a limited amount of email I can send. So here what it's doing is I'm asking him to sign in and then it sends the OTP directly here in the console. This is another way that I branch out for local versus the dev environment or the production environment. When I say dev, I mean staging. Well, remote dev is what I'm trying to say. So here it is. It booted the thing, and here, as you can see, the icons, it should be a little bit bigger, even though they were already bigger because of the hot reload before that. Okay, so QA verdict is approving. We're moving to the next step, and this one is a really cool one because, as you can see, it is a orange step, which means it is a organization-wide step. What is an organization-wide step? A organization-wide step is our whole infrastructure here at merc.camp. Merc.camp is an organization. So for us, we use Kubernetes to deploy our things, right? In this case, in this very specific project, we do have a server, and that server is a Node.js server. It lives in our Kubernetes environment. So this step over here, make sure to deploy to that server. So the dev server is going to have a new update. In this case, there's nothing here that changed because all the changes were front end, right? But it's still going to go ahead and refresh the Kubernetes server because it's part of the deploy step. The way that it does that is through creating a new commit on the dev/staging branch. So it's going to go ahead. I told him you're allowed to go and create a new commit, which means at this point, if we head over to balance, we should see a new pipeline being started in just a second. A new build started, and here I do have some manual steps that I want to keep because the build, basically I'm using EAS to build, and those one have limited amount of builds per month. You can go, I think you can go past the limit, but you get put in a queue that takes like 20 hours before your build goes through. So what I've done is I've in my pipeline, I've added a manual step that I need to press on. So once we're done with the build images over here, I am going to just click on running the build Android, which is then going to send it to Google, and we're going to do the full loop from there. Now we're on to step number 9. So first, what we do is we grab changelogs, and these changelog, this sub-step here for changelog is prose, but it's to grab all the raw changes. So this is a very tech-heavy changelog, as in not really fun to read, a bit annoying, but contains a lot of information. And what we do is once we have that artifact of changelog, it is not meant for human consumption, but it is meant for another AI to parse it to then turn it into human consumption. And now it's trying to grab the key, the webhook key, and once it has it, it's going to be able to post down here. And here it is. Bigger, bolder icons. We give the icon a serious size boost so everything is easier to read at a glance. Skill tab, inventory, and milestone timeline. Here it is, gang. That's it. We're missing one last step, and that last step is to update the brain. So as you can see, advanced to synchronize brain. And this one, as I said, is just going to take our brain, so this part over here, and make sure it goes add the new ship feature that we have. That's it. That's pretty much my new workflow now. That's how I work with AI in this very specific case for a single project, but I can also work with this on group project. What I do is I just don't commit my artifacts, and also we have different strategy about versioning, so I adapt to that. And I can adapt to that by creating new sub-steps for that dev suite as we discussed during the QA emulator smoke substep. Hope you did enjoy, and if you have any question, please go ahead, write them in the comment section down below. We have a lot of video to make. We have a lot of things to synchronize together to get to a point where we save so much time, we save so much money, and we are much happier in our lives. That's all I wanted to say today. I'm glad to be making videos again, and if you enjoy this, please drop a little like, a comment, and I will see you next time.